Friends, we have completed the spiritual discourse and the meditation session. At this time, we're going to start the Q&A session. I will be very happy to answer any spiritual inquiry from any one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to Toronto. I'm happy I could come this time. My question is about the departed one, loved ones who departed. So you said that we forget, we have amnesia, right? When we die, and we forget about our loved ones. But how about if I have dreams about loved ones and they are very real, vivid? So does it mean that this is my imagination, or there is some kind of way of communicating with the departed ones?
So you are having vivid dreams about loved ones who departed this life, and you are having dreams about them, right?
Right. So does it
Okay.
mean that, because you said that they forget about us?
So I said that the second big amnesia or forgetfulness, it occurs immediately after death, which means that as soon as we die, we forget about all our loved ones. We forget about all our family members, friends, as we are departing the physical world. But your case is different. You are having dreams, vivid dreams, about people who have touched your heart, your mind, and your soul, and they are coming to visit you in your dream. So that's a little bit different. So basically, because these people are still attached to you, you are having some visions through these dreams. Now, if they are very vivid and you can remember the dream with the details, it means that this is a spiritual experience. On the other hand, if you do not have too many details of the dream and it's ambiguous and it's a gray area, that means it is not a spiritual dream. Does this answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję.
Okay, I have a question for you. So there's this analogy of an old man watering a seed that's amongst weeds. And when he's watering it to grow the tree of maybe love and devotion, the weeds also grow around it. And I believe that signifies that the mind's desires also growing along with the love and devotion for the master or for God. Now, I'm a little bit confused because before I was initiated, I feel like my mind was not as strong as it is now. Now it feels like, although I'm likely progressing spiritually, it also seems like the mind is stronger and is working really, really hard against me. And I'm having a very, very big internal struggle because I'm trying to be spiritual, but at the same time, my mind's desires and involvement in the world are also very strong and increasing. So how do I, go to the passenger seat and not try to control everything in the driver's seat? How do I let Master be in the driver's seat, control my life, be okay with the outcome, be happy with everything that he gives me without saying, Master, this is what I want. You have the superpowers, and I'm upset if you don't give me what I want in this life.
As we get initiated into the path of Sur Chabd Yoga, the mind fiercely is fighting us. The mind does not want us to be on the path of Santmat because the mind knows that if we start the journey of Santmat, we're going to reach Sachkhand. The mind doesn't want that. Why? The mind is the principal agent of Kal, which is the god of time and death. Kal is the supreme ruler of the three lower worlds. Sachkhand is above the realms of Kal. So therefore, Kal will instruct the mind to be very powerful and fiercely fight the satsangi or the spiritually initiated individual in order to divert his or her attention off the spiritual path. So it is very tricky, and I do agree with you. And many friends of mine have told me that once they started the meditation of Sur Chabd Yoga, they have realized that the mind is getting stronger, much stronger than before. And the mind lures them of the worldly pleasures, desires, intentions, and plans. The role of the master is simply to switch us over from the side of the mind to the master's side. That's what the master wants us. It's not easy. There is nothing easy in this life at all, especially we, spiritually initiated individuals from a perfect living master of the highest order. It is extremely difficult. So therefore, my advice to you is do your best and leave the rest. Ishwarji has repeatedly told us it is extremely difficult to control our mind. Extremely difficult. To a point, he told us this analogy that he may believe that a person could move mountains, literally. But if a person tells him, I can control my mind, there is absolutely no way he will believe that. So therefore, do not try to control the mind. But what you can do is that continue to regularly practice your daily meditation with love and devotion, and do your best and leave the rest to the master. You cannot be controlled by the mind and at the same time by the master. It doesn't work this way. So you have to choose. Do you want the mind to control you, or do you want the master to control you? And it's a very difficult decision. Why? Because many of us are not yet ready to surrender ourselves to the master. Why? Because of the worldly pleasures that we are enjoying. We only come to the master when we are having a problem in our life. Master, I have this, master, I have that, but only in times of calamities. But when we are making an enormous amount of money, and when we are having excellent relationships with our loved ones, we hardly go to the master, or we hardly show our appreciation and gratitude to the master. We as human beings have a habit of only praying to the Lord when we have problems in our lives. So again, my advice to you is do your best and leave the rest. And you have to know exactly what you want. You cannot be intensely involved in worldly pleasure and at the same time numb your mind. Remember, the master wants us to numb the mind in this world. So therefore, you make a decision. and according to your sanskaras or your previous desires, according to the thirst level that you have towards spirituality. Does this answer your question?
It does. But what is the threshold at which the mind takes a back seat and is like, okay, you know what, master, you take control? Do I have to decide that consciously and say, you know what, I surrender to master, and that's how I'm going to live my life?
Yes, absolutely. You have to surrender to the master consciously 100%. Because again, there is no gray area whereby you are controlled by the mind partially and you are also controlled by the master partially. It does not work this way. It's either the master or the mind. There are two separate entities. So therefore, in due time, you are going to make a decision whereby mind, I'm going to surrender myself to the master, and the master will take care of your mind. But please remember, and Ishwarji has repeatedly warned us, that as we start the spiritual journey from the physical world to the true home, the mind is our worst enemy. When the master takes over our lives, the mind becomes more and more subdued, and eventually the mind becomes our best friend.
Right. My mind, just one last thing, sorry. My mind it tries to trick me. It says, okay, if master takes over, then he's going to get rid of all of the positive things and he's going to make you poor and he's going to, make you ill and he's going to, I hate spiders. He's going to put spiders in your room. I don't know. Just mind puts all of these negative thoughts in my mind. Right. But I was thinking today, I'm like, I should tell the mind, well, how is it working for you? I would actually ask myself, how has it been working for me for the mind being in control of me? It hasn't been working.
Exactly. Remember that fear is generated by the mind. So the mind is going to do its best to scare you as a person. Oh, well, if you surrender yourself to the master, you're going to be financially poor. If you're going to surrender yourself to the master, he's going to put spiders and bugs in your bedroom. Again, these are all fears generated by the mind because the mind simply does not want you to be on the spiritual path of Sant Mat. Plain and simple. My recommendation to you is give it a shot. Surrender to the master. You don't have to surrender for him from now till the rest of your physical life, but do an experiment. After all, meditation is a personal experimentation of consciousness. Try it for a month. Surrender yourself totally and completely to the master for a certain period of time. If your life gets improved, that proves that the master is really nourishing your life on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. On the other hand, if your life becomes a misery, which I really doubt, then go ahead and switch back to the mind. Give it a shot. Again, the spiritual path is extremely subjective and highly personalized. What is good for you may not be good for him, and vice versa. But for you, I can tell you, go ahead and try it. Surrender totally and completely to the master, albeit for a certain time, and see how your life improves on all levels.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Tarek.
Hello, dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. You were talking about those amnesia, different types of, four types of amnesia.
Yes. Would you like me to repeat them to you, brother? Because I know you had to take a phone call.
No. I remember. I was here for those. So the one is when we were born, one when we die, one is confuses our sequences of, and then last one is.
Okay, so basically, the four main types of amnesia, and that was the main topic of my spiritual discourse, are number one, we forget as we are getting into our next human birth. As soon as we get a baby body, our memory gets wiped out completely. Second amnesia is when we are dying, physical death. We completely forget all our relations, our loved ones, our friends, family members, people who touched our heart. We forget about them completely. Third amnesia is we forget the consequences of our actions in this life. And the fourth and final amnesia is we forget the main purpose of human life, and as a result, we forget that one day we are going to die.
Yes. Now, my question is this forgetfulness by the design of higher powers? Is this our our karma causes us to forget? Or it's better for us to forget? Or there are some people that remember, like some enlightened people. Like, can you shed some light on that?
Of course. Excellent question, brother. Yes. Like I said, this is part of the grand game of life to be played in the physical world. And we cannot refuse to play this game because the Supreme Lord or Dayal or Satpurush has commanded that we take the field. So the forgetfulness is part of this stage drama of this grand game of life. It's not because of our karma, no. This is how it has been set up by the Supreme Lord, that we are supposed to experience four types of amnesia, the ones I have just mentioned, and the role of the master is simply to encourage us to remember. And remembrance is the antidote and the cure for forgetfulness. So by remembering through meditation with its three forms, then we are getting closer and closer. We are getting more advanced into our spiritual journey, and we are getting closer and closer to our main purpose of life, which is to reach Sachkhand, the true home. That would be the ultimate remembrance. Because as I mentioned, brother, the ultimate spiritual awakening is the return of memory of wholeness. When you realize that you have always been Satpurush, then you realize that this whole life was simply a grand game and you were part of it. But it's an important game to be played. And the Supreme Lord has commanded that we take the field. He wants us to play this game. Why? Some people say because the Supreme Lord gets bored in Sachkhand, so he wants to have some fun. That's why many souls, the Hans, went ahead and they wanted to experience the three lower worlds. But then the Satpurush promised them, hey, before you leave Sachkhand, I promise I'll come to rescue you. But it's going to be through a perfect living master, because it has to have a human body. So then they make an agreement with the Hans and the Satpurush that one day after we get sick and tired of this game, we would like to return back to Sachkhand. And brother, this is what we are doing right now. We are all trying as spiritually initiates and as seekers of the ultimate truth, we are all trying to embark on this spiritual journey from the physical world to the true home. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes. Very good, very good. Thank you, Tarek.
Prasha.
Tarek, would you give some good tips how to get the vibrant form of the master faster? I've been initiated quite a long time ago, like 7 years or 6 years.
By?
By Master Ishwar. But kind of struggle with all of this.
Sister, we are all struggling. We are all on the same boat. Please remember, there is no one more superior than you. We are all in the same boat. We are not happy. No one is happy. That's why we chose the spiritual path. And sometimes misery is important because guess what? If we are happy all the time, we will not seek spirituality, right? We will be immersed into worldly pleasures, worldly affairs. That's why the masters of the highest order, they tell us this world is ephemeral. This world is transient. This world is fleeting. So we are all struggling, sister. Are you practicing your daily meditation with love and devotion?
That's the problem, right? It's hard. Because Master is not physically here. It was easier back then. Now
Sister,
it's harder. I find it
Master
harder
is
to
inside you. When Ishwarji has spiritually initiated you, he has planted his radiant and sound form in you. And when you reach such kind, you're going to realize that the Master was nothing but your true self. So, what I would like you to do going forward, and that's for you, please, can you spare 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening to practice meditation with love and devotion? Can you do that? Okay. Start doing that, and I'm sure that you are going to feel better. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening with love and devotion, not mechanically. Okay? Can you do that?
Yeah, I do meditate.
Okay.
However, I find it very difficult.
Why is it
to have
difficult?
This love, right? It's kind of like, okay, the mind takes over. The mind, right?
Yes.
And it's like the pictures coming in my mind, like all kinds of things, right? Like rewinding my day, rewinding, it's just crazy. I don't know.
Okay.
Some days are better though, right? But I made it point, I'm gonna sit down no matter what, right?
What time do you normally do your meditation in the morning?
Morning, like sometimes, like I'm trying to do it like 6:30, like
Okay.
sometimes later, but usually I try to do it before the day starts, right?
Good.
Yeah, my
Okay.
day, right? Like
Yes.
work and stuff. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's just.
Is your smartphone powered off during meditation, or do you keep it
Oh,
on?
it's on.
On?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like you to power it off. Can you do that from now on?
Sure. Yeah.
During meditation, in the morning and the evening, not even silent, not even on vibration. No, power it off completely. That's going to make a difference for you. Okay?
Okay.
Do we have a deal?
Yes.
And then next time when I return back to the Greater Toronto area, you'll tell me how is your meditation.
Okay.
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Hello. Hi. I was just wondering, you said when person is dying after death, all the memory wiped up. But when a person reborn, how come some people remember their rebirth?
Yes, very good question, sister. There are certain souls, especially in childhood, who remember their previous lifetimes. And I have met some of them whereby they told me that they remembered who they were. I was doing this and that, etc. Ishwarji, in this regard, has told us the story, if you recall, about this man who killed a female, a woman, and then she went ahead and she was born, and she was a relative of Ishwarji's. And then they went to the house, and the man was still alive, and then he confessed. So it does happen to certain souls. Now, why? It could be due to different karmic reasons. Now, masters of the highest order normally discourage us to practice past life regression. They tell us there is a reason why we have suffered from the 4 main types of amnesia that I discussed in my spiritual discourse. There is a reason for that. However, as you mentioned, there are certain souls, not necessarily initiates, just regular souls who have never been initiated, but during their childhood, they started talking, and then their mother realized that they're talking about their previous lifetimes. It could be due to samskaras or impressions, and it could be due to a karma from the previous life. That's why they are remembering. But again, this is not the scope, course, and goal of the path of the mystics and the saints in the philosophy of Sant Mat. The masters tell us that it is good that we have suffered from amnesia, from these 4 types of amnesia. That's why the master comes in this physical world. And the master, after all, is an embodiment of Satpurush, the ultimate creator, so that he can start encouraging us for remembrance, and remembrance is the antidote and the cure for forgetfulness. Does this answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, Tarek. When you said that when we pass away, we completely forget about the relations of this world, do we also forget about the things we did
Yes.
as well? Does that all vanish too?
Yes, absolutely. As we are dying physically, of course, when I say dying, it means the body, because we know that the soul is immortal. But when the human body is dying immediately after death, we forget about what we have done, we forget about all our relationships, we forget about how much wealth we have accumulated. Ishwarji has told me that just before death, the person looks like in a video clip for a few minutes about all his life from birth to death, what he or she has done, studied, if he or she got married, if he or she got children, what career they had, what disease they suffered from, etc. So Ishwarji has told me that just before death, there is a video clip that runs into the mind of the person whose body is dying for a minute or so, and then the body dies. As soon as the body dies, we completely forget about relations, about what we have done, what we have studied, how much wealth we have accumulated. But there is a caveat, brother, and I'm so glad you addressed this question. The caveat is, if a person has been spiritually initiated by a perfect living master of the highest order, and this person had to come back into a next physical life, that will stay. That's why when we see a person, we say, oh, he's an old soul. What does it mean? An old soul means that this person is spiritually advanced. Why? Because he or she has been spiritually initiated in the past, whether it was by a perfect living master or a regular master. So that's the only thing that will stay in memory, that if a person at the time of physical death has been initiated and he has supposed to return back to a physical body, that will stay in his smriti. Smriti in Sanskrit means memory. The only thing. Now, if a person has not been initiated by a perfect living master, then this will not apply. The caveat will not apply. Yes, brother.
So I have had a very similar experience, which was a near-death experience. I said it to Ishwar. And then in this experience, I left the body and then was approached by a great light and then had this life review, as you were talking about, right? So the whole thing from the moment I was born to the moment of when I left, I had this life review, like a 3D review. And then light said, I have to go back to the body because I have a mission. And then I didn't know what was the mission, but Ishwar told me what was the mission, right? So, but when I was there, I didn't forget everything that was happening here on earth. I was still remembering my mother, my sister.
Yes, brother, you are exactly correct. What you had was near-death experience.
Yes.
You did not have a complete death experience.
Oh, okay.
So therefore, that's why you still had some part of your memory. That was a near-death experience, the one you have just described. But as Ishwarji told you, you were supposed to return back. But that was a near-death experience. I am talking about a full death experience. Full death experience, you will forget everything. Everything. Relationships, what degree you studied, what you have done in life, what career you had, how much money you had, all the people who touched your heart, mind, and soul, you will forget about all of them, brother. Now, in one of my previous spiritual discourses entitled Dying While Living, I have described dying while living, which is very similar to physical death. But in dying while living, when we return back to the body, the memory is still there. We do not forget about anything. But during the experience of dying while living, there will be like a wiped out of a memory. Okay, brother? So again, to answer your question, yes, you remembered because that was a near-death experience. It was not a full death experience. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
That makes sense, yes.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję.
How about the lessons that we learn? Like, that's what I thought, we come to the world to learn lessons. Oh, sorry. I thought, that we come into this world to learn our lessons, to pay off our karma, but also learn, right? So we can advance.
But guess what? Like I said in my spiritual discourse, sister, we forget. And that's the third type of amnesia. We forget the consequences of our actions. Now, you may say, yes, because of the amnesia, I forgot what I did before. So, in order for me to avoid repeating what I did in a previous life, I need to remember. But this is a false assumption because I gave an example. We get angry. We see the harm it causes. we feel ashamed, and we say to ourselves, I will never get angry again, but then we forget. We gossip. We see the harm it causes. We feel ashamed. We say to ourselves, I will never gossip again, but then we forget. We overeat and feel uncomfortable, bloated. I will never overeat again until the next buffet. So you're right. So that's why life is a mystery. And we are so grateful, dear friends, that we had a Param Sant, Sadguru, to spiritually initiate us. Because this life is a relentless cycle of birth and death. And there is no end to it. And Kal is very happy. He wants to keep as many souls as possible trapped in the physical, astral, and causal worlds. He doesn't want them to go beyond Trikoti. He doesn't want them to go to Sachkhand. Why? Because he wants to rule them. He's the supreme ruler of these three worlds. So, and that's what I was telling here, our friend, that why is the mind so strong while you are doing meditation? The mind is striving, doesn't want us in any way, shape, fashion, or form to advance spiritually. Because Kal knows that this meditation will lead to liberation, to Sachkhand.
Right. I was just thinking about like if we forget everything, how is this then relating? Because we have to pay our karma, right? So there must be part in us that remembers this, the part of us that remembers everything, right? If we don't remember, how can we pay off the karma next life? If we don't remember at all.
See, exactly, sister. We don't remember. We keep repeating the same mistakes. But then, once you get spiritually initiated, which you told me you have already been initiated about 7 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, 7 years ago, you were very fortunate to get spiritually initiated. Now, once you get initiated, then the memory starts coming back to you. That's the key.
Okay.
So the key, remembrance is the key to liberation. When we are remembering who we truly are, we get salvation and we will reach Sachkhand.
Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Hi. I was just wondering, like, when the body dies, so the soul is out. So how soul know which direction to travel? Like, what the path for the soul is? And second question is also, you talk about the Kal. And if you are initiated by Satpurush, isn't the Kal go a bypass for you because you initiated and your complete Mahapurush supposed to take care of you because you're initiated by him?
Okay. Thank you. Let me address the first question. What will happen after physical death? Ishwarji has explained to us, those souls who have been spiritually initiated by a perfect living master of the highest order, immediately after physical death, the soul will meet the master. And the soul will decide with the master how to proceed. Whether the soul has to be reborn again in a physical form, or it has to pay the karmic debt in the astral world and the causal world. The soul and the master will make a joint decision how to proceed. But it is the master who will greet the soul immediately after physical death. The soul, which has not been spiritually initiated by a perfect living master of the highest order, it will meet Dharamraj, a principal agent of Kal. And Kal is the god of time and death. Kal is the supreme ruler of the physical, astral, and causal worlds. Dharamraj will meet the soul. Soul, this is what you have done. These are the good deeds you have done. Soul, these are the bad deeds you have done. I will give you the option. would you like to go to heaven first and then hell? Or would you like to go to hell first and then heaven? And Ishwarji has clearly explained to us that the universal law of karma is relentless. If you do one bad deed and you do 100 good deeds, it's not going to offset the bad deed. So Dharamraj will still tell the soul, you need to go to hell because of this bad deed. So Dharamraj will give the option to the soul whether it wants to go first to heaven or to hell. The soul decides what it wants to do.
Is this a free will? You said soul decided. The soul have a free will?
That's a very good question. Eventually, there is no free will. Everything has already been preordained and predisposed at the Akashic records. It looks like the soul is experiencing free will. It looks like it, but it's not. So then the soul will say, okay, I prefer going first to hell for for a certain period of time. Then after that, I'll go to heaven for a certain period of time. After that, after fulfilling, because it has to go to hell and then to heaven, or vice versa, then after that, the soul has to be reborn in a physical form until it gets spiritually initiated by a perfect living master of the highest order. So that answers your first question about what happens immediately after physical death. And there is a difference between a spiritually initiated soul and non-spiritually initiated soul. And that's exactly what happens per Ishwarji. Now, please remind me, what was the second question?
About the Kal.
Kal.
Yeah, like if you are spiritually initiated by the Satpurush, so when the Kal does not, why the Kal comes, Satpurush come for you and they will take you to Sachkhand. So you still have to go through Kal?
If you are spiritually initiated, right? Yes. You have to go through Kal. Why? Because Kal is the supreme ruler of the physical, astral, and causal worlds. Yes, but if the soul has been initiated and the physical body dies, then the soul is going to meet the master. Hey, how is it going? Good. All right, they decide together what would be the next step. But they are talking, and then Kal does not interfere, because in front of the master, Kal is like silent, because Kal realizes the magnificent power of the master. Why? Because the master is the embodiment of Satpurush, the ultimate creator. So the ultimate creator is much more powerful than Kal itself. So Kal is there, but does not interfere with the communication between the soul, the initiated soul, and the master. They both make a joint decision how to take it from there. Whether the soul needs to return back to the physical world, or finish its karma in the astral world, or go to the causal world. Because remember, sister, the physical world, you create and you burn karma. However, in the astral world and the causal world, you can only burn karma. You do not create karma. So then there will be a decision made, and then they'll take it from there. Did this answer your two questions?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I've got a question. In death experiences, there are books which have recorded where somebody is about to pass away, and their family members come in who previously have passed away.
Was this a scientific research study, brother?
There is Raymond Moody, and there are some other doctors who have these recorded facts.
Okay. Yes. It is very possible that when the person, at the time on the deathbed, the person is about to leave the physical body, then some loved ones may appear, may witness the death, but these are disembodied spirits.
So they didn't forget when they passed away?
Brother, disembodied spirits are a little bit different than regular death. Ishwarji explained that if we try to take our own life, and Ishwarji has explained this is the greatest sin that a person can ever do, to take his or her own life, then the person becomes a disembodied spirit. If a person dies in a car accident or in a war, some unusual circumstances, it's very possible that this person becomes a disembodied spirit. What you are talking about, brother, and yes, I did hear about it, that from Ishwarji, that at the time of death, there are some entities there present. These are disembodied spirits, and they do have the memory because they have, but they are suffering. Why are they suffering? Because they have either committed suicide or they have done something very bad, and as a result of this, they died in a car accident or in a flight or in a train or in a war. So they came back to serve their time because their time was not supposed to end at that time. Say, for example, the soul had 25 more years of physical life. They'll become this embodied spirit for about 25 years, and they'll be suffering a lot, by the way. These embodied spirits, they do suffer a lot per Ishwarji. They're not happy. They think that you think that this physical world is misery? Wait till you become a disembodied spirit. But anyway, the bottom line up front, it's not recommended at all for any person, especially a person who has been spiritually initiated by a perfect living master, to take their own life. That's the greatest sin. Ishwarji has said that. Kabir has said that. Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi has said that. This is the greatest sin in all existence. Why? Because when a master has initiated you, brother, he has planted himself in you. So when you are killing your physical body, you are literally killing the master. So therefore, you are going to be automatically a disembodied spirit. Even though you may be spiritually initiated, you will become a disembodied spirit for a certain period of time, and then the soul is going to meet the master, and then he may tell you, okay, because you have killed yourself, you may have to come back again in the next life, physical life, etc. So in conclusion, brother, what you have talked about is exactly correct, but this is for disembodied spirits, those who roam around because of unusual death or because of committing suicide, and they are suffering, they are very unhappy, and they are trying to communicate with us, but we cannot see them, we cannot feel them. So therefore, when they see that a person whose body is about to die, they go and they roam around him or her.
What about cases where there are mediums or guides who talk to people who have passed away?
Yes. There are certain psychics and some mediums who claim that they can access people who died, and it is found in the movie Ghost. If it's an old movie, Demi Moore was the character of this movie, a really good movie, whereby Whoopi Goldberg, the actress, was acting as a medium, and a lady came to her and she wanted to communicate with her husband who passed away. Brother, this is possible if the entity is a disembodied spirit, if the person is in the astral world or in the causal world, the medium or the psychic will not help. So remember, in order for a medium or psychic to access a person who died, that person has to be a disembodied spirit. Because if this person is in the astral, causal, or Sachkhand, there is no way that the medium or psychic will access that person. But Ishwarji told us that any initiate has the potential to go within, and during meditation, you could experience entities who are in the astral world and even in the causal worlds. Prophets of the major religions of the world, saints who may not necessarily be in Sachkhand. You can experience them during meditation, go within, and you can experience them, and they are at a certain level of creation.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question for me. And it's more of a comment rather than a question. But I always wondered, how can masters be so humble? Because when we talk about a perfect living master, they will never claim that anything they're teaching is coming from themselves. They'll always give, attribute it to their own master. They'll say, oh, I'll go within and I'll find out for you. But the reality is that that perfect living master is God in human form. He is Satpurush. He is the totality of consciousness. And he's looking at us straight into our eyes, not just knowing exactly who we are, what's going on within us, and what our future is, but he created us. And he created the entire play. Time, space, everything is within him. Everything is within him. How can he be so humble just sitting in front of us like this?
Excellent question, sister. Thank you. One and only one reason. The Master wants us to love him. If he is not humble, how can we love him? In this regard, Ishwarji has told us a beautiful story about a master, regular master, not a perfect living master, who practices yogic powers, siddhis and riddhis. There is a huge audience hall, and he sits crossed legs, and he starts, his body, physical body, gets elevated, and he starts flying in the audience hall. And people are looking at him. Wow, that is amazing. So all the audience is expressing astonishment. They are expressing that they admire that, admiration. Some of them will say, well, maybe it's a trick. Maybe there is some invisible rope whereby it's moving him around the audience. No one will express love to the psychic master who is flying in the audience. There might be expressions of awe feeling, or doubt, fear, astonishment. People are clapping their happiness, but there is no love. Now, if he suddenly falls on the floor, people will rush to him immediately, then there is a feeling of love. So therefore, masters of the highest order will never express their superpowers to any of their initiates. That is not the purpose, the source, the goal of the perfect living master. Perfect living masters are extremely powerful. They're omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. However, they are truly humble, and they will, they want us to love them, because only through love you will attain Sachkhand. So the only reason why they have so much humility, which is extremely important in the true spiritual path. Humility is so important in order for them to love them. If I am above you, if I act as if I am higher in you, in education, in knowledge, in things, you're not going to love me. You're not. You're admiring me, you're appreciating me. But if I am on your level, same level of education, level of knowledge, then you are going to love me. That's what the master do. That's what the master does. The master is a barupya, you know. So therefore, he knows which initiate is in which level, and it will act, he or she will act accordingly, according to where you are. So they have to be humble. They have to have a humility in order for us to love them. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Part B of the question is, when an initiate makes progress and can recognize a deeper layer of their perfect loving master who initiated them, maybe recognizing that there's more than what they had felt before. How do I answer this question? Are there some initiates who can just, see their perfect living master and say, oh my gosh, this is God? How do they act in life? How does their life change?
The perfect living master will pulse the initiate, the seeker first, and then the initiate with his or her magnificent power of infinite love. And this thing happens from within. So it's not a wishful thinking. It's not a mental game. Some people have written to me on email, Tarek, how can I know which one of my masters is my PLM? I have 3 of them. I've been initiated by 3 perfect living masters. 3. Which one do I follow? My answer is simply the answer that Ishwarji has given me. The one who pulls you out of his love the most, follow him. Period.
My question is more so, how does the mind fathom it? How can the mind comprehend and digest this thing?
It cannot. The mind finds this thing unfathomable to the mind. Because remember, love, devotion, beauty, joy, bliss are functions of the soul. And the soul is higher than the mind. The mind does not recognize, cannot fathom that. So the mind is zapped, literally.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Tarek ji. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Sokima. The question is part of it being answered, but regarding the sanskar, the past karma, when we get initiated, we are told that Master Ji takes care of it, wipes it off, and whatever we are doing now in the current life, how do you know this is your last life? If this is your last life, how all these past known, unknown, wanted, unwanted deeds we have done intentionally, unintentionally, even though they are all part of your DVD, you came with that as if it's your free will, but you have done so much that it may take another millions of years to wash off. If this is your life, the last life, or you have to come back again, and again you come back, again you create more karma. If this is your last life, how do you get the sign? Maybe you're made automatically to meditate more, to remove all those karma wash off during your meditation. Or if you don't meditate, you're unable to meditate part of your DVD again, or it's mind blocking. How this system works, I want to understand that more, please.
Okay. We do not know if this is our last physical life. We do not, unless the person experiences the radiant form of the master and eventually the sound form of the master, which is the Shabad, the ultimate creative power within himself or herself. Then you'll get the knowledge from the master telling you this is your last physical life. We cannot know. We do not know. But if you experience the radiant form and or the sound form of the master, and the master tells you this is your last physical life, then you know. Another way to find out is after you leave the physical body. Because if you have been initiated by a perfect living master, as I have mentioned to the sister here, then the master will meet your soul after physical death, and then he will tell you if this is your last life or you have to come back in the physical world. These are the two ways you could tell whether this is your last physical life or not. One would be while you are living through experience, very powerful experience, whereby you have absolutely no doubt in the mind that this is your last physical life, or immediately after physical death, the master will meet you and tell you, this is your last life. Now you're going to go to the astral world for some time. Then after that to the causal world for some time to pay off some karmic debt. And then we're going to cross Trikuti to the spiritual realms. So this is how you can find out whether this is your last lifetime or not. Now, if you have not been initiated by a perfect living master, you will still know immediately after death, because Dharamraj will come on behalf of Kal and he will tell you, okay, these are the good deeds that you had done, these are the bad deeds that you had done. I will give you the option to choose whether you would like to go first to heaven and then hell, or vice versa. And then after this karmic debt is taken care of, then you're going to take a next physical form. You have to come back after you fulfill your duties in heaven and or hell. The soul has to come back again to the physical world. Why? Because it has to be initiated by a perfect living master in order for the soul to return back, in order for the Panika Katra to merge into the Samandar.
Thank you so much. So that leads to my next question, that when you said if this is your last life, all the karma that you created in this during this life, is it part of the plan? And if so, Master is going to let you finish off in astral and causal, how long that it takes? Like I'm already sick and tired of everything.
Okay, well, I'm just giving an example, sister. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm just giving an example. So once you get spiritually initiated by a perfect living master of the highest order, Sinchit karma, or the reserve karma, is automatically destroyed. So then you have two more karmas to take care of: Pralabd, or destiny karma, and Kariman, or the present karma. Right? So these two are your responsibilities. The master takes the responsibility of wiping out all your Sinchit karma. But again, there is a caveat. If the master is Satguru, he will wipe out the Sinchit karma. If he is a Sadguru, he cannot wipe out the Sinchit karma. Both are perfect living masters. Satguru is in Sachkand, Sadguru is in Bhanwar Gufa, the revolving cave. Both are considered perfect living masters.
So can you pray to your master, make this my last one, I'm done. I made a mistake when I picked the DVD. I think I'm ready to go back. Is that kind of prayer can be done to your master? Is that something we can ask? Because we are not supposed to ask material. We are asking for master, but then take me back, enough.
Sister, as I mentioned in my spiritual discourse of today, praying is talking to God. Meditating is listening to God. Which is more important?
Listening.
Yes.
But again, it comes with His grace.
Yes. So
What should we do for that?
Meditation, especially meditation of Surat Shabd Yoga, of this philosophy of Sant Mat is much, much more powerful than a prayer. A prayer, you're talking to God. Is He listening or not? We do not know. But the meditation that we are doing, we are listening to the sound current, the ultimate creative power, Shabad, the sound current, Nam, which is Satpurush.
Thank you.
Mika Nanri.
Thank you.
I'll just ask a question first. So again, a question after we die. So we don't we lose the memory of our relations, and one loses the memory of what they did. What about, is there anything that is retained? For example, what about emotional things that might have affected one emotionally? Would that be retained by a person? Let's say they experienced an intense
Trauma.
or on the opposite, intense love.
Brother, again, the only thing that gets retained is that if the soul has been initiated by a perfect living master, that will be retained in the next physical life. In the next physical life, if this soul is deemed to return back. Now, there are certain things called sanskaras or impressions. Yes, these are not retained per se, but samskaras come from previous lifetimes and they could manifest into a present life. But emotional traumas, not necessarily you will remember them, because the master does not want you to remember things. There is a reason for that. He said, ignorance is bliss. So if you start remembering things from your past life, guess what? You may start hating yourself because of what you have done. So therefore, nothing gets retained at all if the soul is deemed to be born into a physical body in the next lifetime, except if the soul has been spiritually initiated by a perfect living master. Period.
Thank you. And then just as a follow-up, what I also want to ask about is the development of certain qualities. So let's say that, from my understanding, it is very important. One of the best things we can do is to develop love for the master. Because the more love we develop and the more intensely that it grows within us, that continues with us when we die. I think I would think that whatever we are developing, does that not continue with us and serve us after we die? When we leave the master, the love that has developed will manifest as an attraction. That love will continue toward him.
Absolutely. But how do you develop love, brother? You know that the mind cannot develop love. It's out of the scope of the mind. Mind only generates fear, anxiety, depression, stress, tension, all the toxicity and negativity. The love comes from the soul. Meditation per se does not develop love, brother. The love comes from the beloved, not from the lover. So yes, the master wants us to meditate. We are meditating because we want to obey the master. We want to please the master. But the meditation process, even when I say meditation with love and devotion, it doesn't develop love, brother. Only when the master starts giving you doses of love within you, this is when you feel the love. And the love grows because you are obeying the master and you have been regular in your daily meditation and you are doing it with love and devotion. The master will reward you, will start giving you grace, love, mercy, compassion, benevolence. You will see it. So that will grow to a very big extent, and there is no end to it, brother. And then when the physical body dies, you will be meeting with the master. Your soul will meet with the master, and then again, there will be a joint decision. Joint decision, not a decision of the master alone or the soul alone. No, a joint decision. What would be the next step? Do I need to get reborn in the physical world, or shall I just go ahead and pay off whatever remains of my pralabd and kariman karmas in the astral world, anda, and or the causal world, brahmanda? So this would be a joint decision, brother. Some souls, brother, they were so advanced, they had so much love and devotion for their perfect living master that after physical death, the master took them straight to Sachkhand. And it does happen. It does happen, brother. It depends on you. What do you want? It depends on the person. Each person is different from the other. What is good for you may not be good for her, and vice versa. Remember, brother, the spiritual path of Sant Mat is not a collective endeavor. No, it is not. We are having regular satsangs. This is important, brother, because we are remembering the master. Remembrance is important, as we found out today from the spiritual discourse. But the point is, brother, the spiritual path is highly customized and it's very personal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tarek ji. As she was talking that if I want to have the last birth, we all want to do that. We don't want to come back. We are done with it. The thing is, so it means I just understand one thing. I just want to know if it's right or wrong. So praying, like we can pray like to Ishwarji. We can pretend to love him, but we have to sit for meditation and try to merge in him. So that's the way to finish everything then. To merge in the sound and everything.
So when you meditate, the meditation that was given to you by your master, this is not praying. This is meditation. So you do that. Now, in addition to your meditation, if you want to pray, there is no harm. If you want to pray outside meditation, is this what you... Okay,
yeah. First, like all the time, I'm doing the whole day, Ishwarji, please give me some time to, so please make me to sit today, because we know we are not going to do that. We always think that, you know what, I just woke up this morning, I just meditate. But the thing is, if he won't make us to sit, like it's he's doing, when I think like, oh, I love him. But I felt like when he loves me, I feel loved. So it's him who's loving me at that moment when I remember him.
Right.
So all the day I can just remember that, Ishwarji, please give me enough time to sit, and please make sure that my mind won't hurt, like take me another way or something. I'm just praying for a whole day. So it means I'm remembering him and doing everything. But at the end, when I'm just sitting, so it means I have to let myself to merge in him, right? In the sound. That's the way we can finish everything. So that's the end, right? So I don't know if I'm understanding the right way.
So what is your question, sister?
So my question is it the right way that I'm understanding the right thing, that, or still I'm like...
Okay. There is some confusion. I can see that.
Confusion, yeah.
Okay. What you need to do is simply practice your daily meditation with love and devotion. Period. Are you doing this?
Yes, but sometimes I feel like when we are meditating, I'm holding just like a balloon. You put a string and you put a weight on it, right? You're sitting in your meditation, you're doing everything, but you're holding yourself. You are not letting yourself to lift.
You don't have to lift.
Like
sister.
it's like you're not letting yourself to merge in it, right?
You just do your part. You just do
Okay.
your meditation with love and devotion. Do your best and leave the rest. Don't start to analyze, yes, I'm doing my meditation, but I don't feel the lift or the merge.
Yeah.
These are results. You do not control the results. You do your action. The master has asked you to do your meditation. You do it to the fullest of your abilities. The results, it's up to him. He may reward you. He may give you feelings of love. He may show you something inside. He may not. What you're talking about, sisters, these are results. Lifting, merging, feeling of love. This is up to him. We do not control that. That's why Ishwarji has always told us, do your best and leave the rest.
Okay, thank you. And one more question about death. When a person crossing from from life to death, is there a split second, like you're in a both ends, this life and on the other side? Can you hear like if somebody having a certain death and the family is calling you like, mom, you're lefting, spirit is lefting, but still for some time hearing on the other side too.
Very good question. So Ishwarji has explained that the natural death is a slow process.
Yeah, but sudden death.
Sudden death is different. Slow death, the attention, you won't feel first your legs, your feet, then legs, knees, thighs, you won't feel them. Then it keeps going, seeping. Death is seeping in a very slow process. You're talking and then you stop talking because the attention goes here until the third eye, and then the physical body dies. Whence the withdrawal of consciousness goes to the third eye. It's a slow process. So the person knows that he or she is experiencing physical death. Oh, I cannot feel my feet. What's happening? Now I don't feel my knees. Now I don't feel my entire leg. Now I do not feel my abdomen. Now I do not feel my torso. Now I do not feel my throat. Now I'm not able to talk. And then once consciousness withdraws to the third eye center in the middle of the head, this is when physical death is completed. So it is a slow process. Ishwarji has explained that. But sudden death, like you mentioned, taking person's own life can be sudden. That's why I was talking about disabled spirits, disembodied spirits. This happens when a person dies of unusual circumstances, like you said, sudden death, taking own life, car accident, train accident, airline accident. These are sudden death, and it happens quickly, very quickly. Then we have this phenomenon of disembodied spirits. For those who have experienced sudden death and unusual death, to include taking their own lives.
Yeah, I have seen like my grandma died a slow death, but my mom, she just vomited blood and she was like this. So that's what I
It depends. So,
Depends.
yeah, it depends on the person. It depends on their karma. Has your mom been initiated?
No, my grandma was.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah. She was like in her last moment, she went to the washroom, everything, but she wasn't able to control her body.
Yes.
Blow to heart chakra. Then after that, she just left that and she was still alive, but she was up here and she couldn't like at first she couldn't recognize anybody. Then she was like,
Yes.
just last breaths, she was completing those with the eyes closed, and she was gone peacefully. But my mom, she just went to the washroom, vomit blood. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, I just hold her. In a second, she was gone. So
It depends. But according to Ishwarji, a natural physical death is a slow process.
When I start on the sand mat, originally when I was first introduced to, they say it's a sound and light meditation, right? On the sound, we pretty much we were instructed that we repeat the Simran and then we hear the sound and so on. So, what about meditation on holy light?
Okay.
What it is a instruction to meditate on light?
Very good. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So, yes, they say that Surat Shabd Yoga is the meditation of the light and sound within. Light is Nirat, sound is Surat. Both are important. The light, by the light, we mean the radiant form of our Master that we experience within, during, and or outside meditation. Say, for example, we close our eyes and we're doing our meditation with love and devotion, and suddenly we experience the eyes and the forehead of our Master in a circle of light, or they are beaming within us. That would be the radiant form of the Master. That's why we call it the light or Nirat. The light symbolizes the radiant form of the Master. On the other hand, Surt, or the sound, and that's more important, brother, than the light, is experiencing the Shabad, the grand bell within, which is the creative power of Sat Purush, the ultimate creator. This is our goal. Radiant form is good. And Ishwarji has told us that we can experience the radiant form throughout the spiritual journey, from the physical world all the way to Sachkhand. We could experience the radiant form of our Master. It's not necessarily only in the astral level. It can go with us all the way to Sachkhand. But the emphasis is on Surt, which is the divine sound current, the Shabad, the Nam, the Logos, the Kalima. It had many names. And that's why in the Bible it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So therefore, the emphasis is on Surt rather than on Nirt. But both of them are important, and that's why we say the path of the light and sound. We also call it the path of the masters. We also call it Surat Shabd Yoga. It has different names, brother. Does this answer your question?
Yes. So our practice is basically practice of the sound, listening to the sound. But when the sweet delight is more or less like a blessing of the master, we can let's say we can understand it as a encouragement of the master, or basically a blessing for the master. We can say the master is pleased with us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could say that. Yes. Both are very important into the spiritual path.
Hi. I was going to ask you, when you're dying, do you see your angels comes to take you? I'm asking you because when I was in a university, one of my friend passed away. So when she was dying, she can see the angels. And she said to her father, put the holy water in my mouth. The angels are here to take me. So that's what I'm asking you. Do you see your angels when you're dying?
It depends if the soul is spiritually initiated or not. If the soul,
She was not.
she was not. That's why she saw them. When the soul is not spiritually initiated by a perfect living master, the person, the soul, will see the angel of death coming. They will see that, absolutely. However, if the soul is spiritually initiated by a perfect living master, the angel of death will never come. Instead, the master will appear immediately after physical death. Friends, this concludes the Q&A session. I would like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for graciously coming today and attending the last spiritual discourse in 2024. I look forward to seeing all my dear friends in 2025. May the boundless love and the eternal grace of our dearest Master, Param Sant Satguru Ishwar Puri Ji, will always be bestowed upon you. Thank you.